Hello. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Candy, Exploring the Supernatural. Today I have a story I want to share with you about something that happened to me when I was in my 20s, back in the 1990s. I shared this story recently with my kids, and they were like, "Mom, that was amazing. You got to share it with others." So I thought, well, you know what? This would make a great episode, and I would probably categorize it in the supernatural under an angel encounter, probably is what I would do. So what happened was I was driving at nighttime in the dark, and I was on the freeway, and I was in the fast lane, going just a little above the speed limit. I wasn't going super fast, but I saw that up ahead on the shoulder of the fast lane there was a tow truck with a car on the back, towing a car. It was a tow truck with a car on the back, but it was parked, like not parked, but like it had just finished getting hooked up, so it wasn't driving. So as I was approaching it, I was kind of cautious about it, slowing down just a little bit. Probably should have gotten over into a different lane, but I didn't. I stayed in the fast lane, and it wasn't until my headlights, and once I reached a place where I was close enough for my headlights to shine on the vehicle that was behind the tow truck, that I realized that vehicle was really smashed up so badly that it was sticking out a little bit in my lane, and I didn't want to hit it. So it was pretty late. It was probably like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I was traveling back to the Los Angeles area where I lived, and I had been visiting my family in the San Bernardino area. So it was a good hour and a half drive, and I was nearing the end of it. And when my headlights hit this tow truck that had a car attached to it, and I saw that it was a little bit in my lane, it was so mangled up it didn't even have like reflectors or anything like it should have had. They were probably there, but they were bent onto the other side, so that they weren't reflecting my headlights like they should have been. And so anyway, I pulled hard on the right, really hard, to avoid hitting the vehicle that was sticking out into the fast lane where I was driving. And it was kind of like a whew, one of those moments. But before I knew it, I was driving, and I didn't realize it, but my back end of my car started fishtailing, and it was swerving one way and swerving the other. And I was trying to remember, that these things happen so fast. And I was trying to remember, what did I learn? Am I supposed to turn into the fishtail? Am I supposed to turn away from it? And my vehicle at the time, it was a stick shift, and so I'm just turning ever which way on the freeway, which it wasn't super crowded because it was really late at night. It was just really dark. And I'm turning ever which way, and finally I just come to a dead stop. And when I did, my vehicle turned off because I didn't have the clutch in, and it was a stick shift. So it just completely died, because that's how stick shifts work. If you don't have the clutch in, then it'll die. So I didn't have the clutch in because I was just slamming on my brakes and turning, and all this kind of stuff was happening all at the same time. And when I stopped and then I looked up, I realized I was in the slow lane, but I was turned the wrong direction. So I was facing traffic, and all I saw were all these headlights coming at me and kind of zooming around me, and I was like my car was dead, and everything happened really fast, and this paranoia set in, I've got all these cars coming at me and I'm facing the wrong direction. What am I supposed to do? Well, all of a sudden, for no reason at all, my car started to roll. And as it rolled, I began using my steering wheel, to go towards the left, which would have been the right-hand shoulder. And as I went in that direction, it just rolled. I ended up being able to turn my car around so that I was facing the right direction, and I was in the shoulder, not in the middle of traffic. And it really was miraculous, because at one point I looked up and all I saw were headlights coming towards me, and the next moment I was moving my car, which was completely at a dead stop. I would have to push the clutch in and turn the key in order to get started again. And I didn't do any of that. And in my mind, I truly at that time envisioned like a couple of angels on the backside. Like I didn't see it with my eyes, but in my mind, I just envisioned them, arms stretched out, pushing my car so that it would go in the right direction and I would be safe, which I completely was. And I'm not gonna lie, I think I cried because I was so scared. And all the way to my destination, I was pretty upset because every time I'd look in my rearview mirror, I saw headlights, and it was this flashback of almost died, almost, I was terrified. I was young back then, but I was sharing this story with my kids, and they're like, "Man, that's just amazing." They too were like, we just know that was God. God sent His angels to push the car out of the way so that you wouldn't get injured, and I didn't. And I don't know that I praised God at that time like I should have, but I praise Him now completely when I reflect on that experience, because He loves me and He wanted to keep me safe, and He didn't want anything to happen, and He was watching out for me even when I was young and immature and not offering Him praise on a regular basis like I do now, like I should have been. But I'm very thankful that He watched out for me, and I'm thankful to be able to share that experience with you, because maybe something like that has happened to you, and as you reflect, you can see that God was watching out for you the whole time, because that's how much He loves us. All right, we'll see you next time.